All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karwolo Kamei. I'm one of the staff attorneys in the Community Lawyering Initiative Unit. And today we will be talking about expungements. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the chat and I will answer them at the end of my presentation. So let me share my screen in a second. All right. There we go. Again, like I said, my name is Karwolo Kamei. I'm one of the staff attorneys in the Community Lawyering Initiative. A little bit about us. Liga is a private nonprofit law firm that provides free legal services to low-income and vulnerable people in need across the state of Maryland. We have offices throughout the state. Our services are completely free, but you have to be financially eligible to receive them. However, even if you are not financially eligible, we can still provide you with brief legal advice. You can check out our website at mdlab.org for more information. Some of the cases that we handle include consumer rights, elder rights, employment, family law, farm workers' rights, government benefits, healthcare, housing, veterans benefits, expungements, child abuse and neglect, foreclosure. We do not handle criminal cases or active traffic cases. But we handle most of the civil cases, and these are the examples of some of what we cover. So once you contact us to do an intake, we will gather personal information from you, and that will include information about you, about your kids, about your household size, about your children, your current and former spouses, and your income and assets. This information is taken in order to determine if legal aid can assist you or if you have to be referred to someone else who is able to help you instead. So like I mentioned today, this presentation is going to cover expungements law. So let's just jump right into it. So you may be wondering why expunge, but first of all, let's tell you what expungement is. Expungement is the removal of records from public inspection. And any arrest is a public record, even without a conviction. So arrests and charges would appear on background checks and public records, public court records. Now you might want to expunge because these records may impact your employment, housing applications, and even child custody determinations. Now, what is eligible for expungement? So criminal charges that are obtained in Maryland. Now, I'm sure other states have their own laws, but we focus only on Maryland. So criminal charges that are obtained in Maryland, some of them are eligible for expungement, and I'll go through those later. And this includes only state charges. Federal charges are not eligible. Traffic entries where there is a possible incarceration, and this excludes DUI and DWI. Also, when we file for expungement, you cannot have a pending criminal case. And I'll talk more about that later. Also, being on probation or parole is not considered a pending case. Now, what can be expunged? The outcome or disposition of the case. Null pros is one of those outcomes that can be expunged. So this is when the state's attorney declines to prosecute a case. So after 3 years or with a general waiver and release, you can have null pros or outcomes expunged. Also, if you receive a not guilty or a dismissal, also is a 3-year waiting period or with a general waiver and release. And once you sign a general waiver and release, you can have your records expunged at any point before the 3 years is over. Also, if you receive a stet, that's an indefinite postponement of a case. Again, it's a 3-year waiting period or at any time with a motion for a good cause exception. Again, if you receive a probation before judgment, also known as a PBJ, that is a 3-year waiting period or after the completion of your probation, whichever is longer. Again, also at any time with a motion for good cause exception. Now, if you were arrested and released without charge, after October 2007, it's an automatic expungement 60 days after your release. Prior to that, you had to wait, you had to do it manually, and you had to request that within 8 years of the incident. Now, also other outcomes that can also be expunged is if you receive a guilty or not criminally responsible for what we consider nuisance crimes. So examples would include urinating in public, riding a transit without paying fare, panhandling, sleeping in a park, vagrancy, loitering, drinking alcohol in public. So these are examples of nuisance crimes. These can be expunged even if you receive a guilty. Now, for guilty nuisance crimes, you have to wait 3 years or after the completion of sentence or probation, whichever is later. You can also file for an early or expungement with good cause, with a motion for good cause, I should say. Also, if you are found guilty of a crime that is no longer a crime. So for instance, marijuana, less than 10 grams. So if you were found guilty, that is eligible for expungement. Again, if you receive an unconditional governor's pardon, that is also eligible for expungement. Now switching to what cannot be expunged. So the general rule, general rule is unspecified felony convictions and unspecified misdemeanor convictions. What this means is that, and I'm going to go over this next, is that there are specific felonies and misdemeanors that the legislature had marked for expungement. So if you have a felony or misdemeanor that is not on that list, then that is not eligible for expungement. Also, something to keep in mind is the unit rule. A unit consists of 2 or more charges other than minor traffic violations arising from the same incident. And if any charge in the unit is not expungible, the entire unit is not expungible. Also, like I mentioned previously, DUIs and DWIs, those are not eligible for expungement, even if you receive a PBJ. And obviously, if you receive a guilty, that is not eligible for expungement. Also, you cannot have a subsequent conviction within 3 years of a PBJ. If you do, you have to wait until that subsequent conviction also become eligible for expungement. And identifying your criminal charges, you can go to Maryland Judiciary Case Search, or you can also do a public record search. I think the most accurate would be if you go to the Criminal Justice Information System, and this is the address. It's a $38 fee, and you can get your fingerprint record and your complete criminal record. Now, Maryland enacted what's called the Justice Reinvestment Act that took effect on October 1st, 2017. This act made expungements available for those who have been convicted of eligible misdemeanor offenses. And as I mentioned previously, there are over 100 specified misdemeanor offenses that are now eligible for expungement. And they include second-degree assault, drug possession, prostitution, theft, disorderly conduct. Now, every year, more offenses are added to this list. And this is obviously not an exhaustive list. So if you have a misdemeanor offense, you can contact us and we'll be able to let you know whether or not it's eligible for expungement. Now, in general, the specified misdemeanor offenses, for specified misdemeanor offenses, there is a 10-year waiting period before you can petition for expungement. Exceptions will be for convictions of second-degree assault and second-degree assault that stems from domestic violence. That's a 15-year waiting period. Again, the unit rule still applies. If you get convicted of a felony or an ineligible misdemeanor arising from the same incident, if any charge in the unit is not expungible, the entire unit is not expungible. Again, subsequent conviction still applies. If you get convicted of a new crime during a waiting period, the original conviction or convictions are not eligible for expungement unless the new conviction becomes eligible for expungement. Again, when we file for expungement, you cannot have a pending criminal case. And then as far as probation is concerned, the waiting period begins at the end of the probation, parole, or supervision period. Also, just to emphasize, DUIs and DWIs cannot be expunged. Now, there was an update to the expungement laws, so to speak, last year. And so some information about criminal cases is no longer available in case search, but may still be accessed by the public. So you can visit the courthouse to view these records. Those cases are any criminal charge where the outcome was a null pros, dismissal, or an acquittal or not guilty. Or those no longer appear on case search, but they are still public unless they are expunged. You can also contact CJIS for your complete record, as I mentioned. And obviously you can contact us and we can do our own public record search. But it's always, best practice to contact CJIS first, even before you contact us for a complete criminal record. Or you can go to the courthouse. District court cases that involve marijuana possession with a disposition of October 1st or earlier, those are also no longer showing up on case search. Now the procedure. So once, and I'm speaking with this from a perspective of us following it on your behalf, even though this applies for everyone, even if you do it yourself. But so once you contact us and you are eligible for our services, we will review your record, see what is eligible, what is not, and then we'll file the petition. Once we file the petition, the state attorney has 30 days to object to the petition. If it's an expungement for a convicted offense, the victim will also be given 30 days to object to the petition. If no objection is filed within 30 days, the court must enter an order for expungement. If either the state's attorney or victim object, the court must hold a hearing. And then once an order for expungement is entered, the applicant agencies will have 60 days to expunge the record. Now, what's the effect of expungement on eligible misdemeanor convictions? So a record that has been expunged may be opened upon court order, but first notice has to be given to the person concerned and a hearing must be held. The court will only open expunged records upon showing of good cause. Expunged records are kept separately for 3 years and then they are destroyed. And this is important as well. The person may not be required to disclose information about expunged records to an employer, education or institution, or government licensing agency. And This is some helpful resources that are not necessarily expungement related. And this is my contact information. This is my phone number, 401-951-7762. You can also reach me at kkmei@mdlb.org. You can also contact our unit directly. That's lawyer@mdlb.org. And the phone number is 443-451-2805. And this was a pretty short presentation, but if anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat and we'll answer them. All right, it looks like we don't have any questions, but let me just reiterate our contact information. That's lawyer, LAWYER @mdlb.org. And our phone number is 443-451-2805. If you have any questions or if you need your records expunged, reach out to us and we'll be able to take care of that.